Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to try something a little different. Along with doing CGI, another thing I like to do is I like to make video games for the Android phone because I have an Android phone and I like Java, so it works out really well for me. Currently I'm starting a new project, and this time I'm doing it with another developer. But the developer is not used to the code base that I use. I use the Replica Island code base that Google offers for free. It's a free open source game. You can take this framework and then make your own games with it. I've made a breakout game, and now we're going to be making a new game about chickens and the universe and corn and stuff like that. It's going to be pretty cool, but it's going to take a couple months, and I need to bring my friend up to speed. So I'm going to do that through these videos. So if you know anything about the Replica Island codebase, you pull it down. Just Google Replica Island codebase on Google. You can download the zip file and you'll find all these classes. I've opened it in the Replica Island package, and you can see that it's kind of odd in that every single class in the Replica Island codebase is in one package, Replica Island. This is a little abnormal for Java projects. I asked the main guy who made the project why he did this. He said he just got lazy, he didn't have enough time to do it. So it does make it a little hard to find meaning in the classes, but I've been working in the code base now for 4 to 6 months, and I know my way around. So the 3 classes we're going to start with is game, this Kenda-kun class, and the game object factory class. Almost everything is connected to these classes in terms of the game, so I'll normally be starting with these. Okay, so the first question that my friend asked is, how is input given to a player? So first we have to find the player. And whenever you find objects or game objects, you want to go to the factory class. Let me step back and explain a little bit of how the factory class works. The factory class is the class that makes all the enemies, all the bullets, all the landscape, everything. It has all these components and it caches them. You can see this is the amount that it allows to be cached. It also has a pool of game objects. Replica Island is a little bit different than normal object-oriented coding, and when you get used to it, you really appreciate it, in that every single object in the game is of class game object, and or its parent, which is sorry, this is a big whoops. Its parent, which is base object, I believe. So here we go. This is the pool. Okay, game object, and you'll see, oh, it's a parse object manager. Okay. Well, all the objects are made out of game object, and you can see there's things like position here, velocity, things that are relevant to almost any single character. There's what it's doing, what team is it on, stuff like that. But you don't see anything here about like how does it react to gravity, or how does it react to bullets, or what happens when you press, you know, the up key, or when you touch the screen. You'll find none of that in the game object. The way the Replica Island codebase works is it actually injects that logic. So let me show you the player, because this will get us to the answer we want. So we found player, let's go search for it. Here we go. And this is the main spawn method of the game object factory. You can spawn any object in the game from here. You just pass in what type. We're interested in player because the question my friend is asking is, how do you get input to the player object? So let's go to the player. This is one of the more complicated objects to start with, so I'm not going to go into a great deal about everything in here because there's a lot. what we're going to check out is the input. So we want to go down a little bit. Now let's see if we can find it. There's the jets, there's the sparks, there's the glow, and I passed it. So let's go to the top and let's search for it. Input, and nothing is found. That's great. I gotta pause you. Okay, we're going to look at the player component. The reason why I was looking for input is I renamed it when I made my game. But you can see when you look into this method, it's doing a lot of initializing, but getting from pool, allocating from a pool these objects called components. And then once it has these components, it can set some attributes on them, but at the end it adds the component to the object. And then when the object, when the game engine is running its thread, it will execute an update method in the top object. Let's see if we can find update. Maybe it's in its parent. Update. There's base object. I knew it was base object. Alright, so it calls this update method, which will eventually call all of the components. And here's the actual code. And this will call all the components that you add to your game object. So you can inject behaviors into your objects, which is a very cool concept, and one that came in very handy. So here is the player component, and when you go down, you always, whenever you go into a component, you always want to go to the update method, because this is what gets executed. In the update method, you'll see here that it gets this input system from the system registry. The system registry is a kind of like static holding place for important objects. So input system is one of these objects. So let's go figure out where this guy is used, and you'll find that he's set up in the game. That's where he's initialized. So he's set up in the game component. But that's not giving us what we want. We want to see where he gets the values. So we can go to game thread. Well, game thread, it just says, it's just checking if anything's happened. Let's see here. Key up, key down, key synchronize. This is run. If key input received. Alright, so okay, so this is where it's putting in something happened, but this isn't where the input was gotten from. So let's figure out where the input was received from, and it was received by one of these methods. But who's calling this? Okay, this is called from the game. So the game is just an object. Still, we haven't hit the root yet. And when we go to the root, this is the root. So when you go to Ado Canoe, or whatever, however you say it, this is the activity. This extends activity and implements the sensor event listener. Because of that, this object can receive input from the device. So now we can follow the complete path. This method is called from the device, which then calls the method in the game object, which then tells the thread object to execute, which then synchronizes the input lock, and then during the next cycle, this is the next cycle, so this is while it's running, and it loops through this as the game is running. During the next cycle, it will put the input values into this static object, and then on that cycle, when the player object is executed, the update method will be called, and that will look like this, and it will iterate through its components, the player component being one of those components, and it will get the input system, and then right here we'll do what the input what the player should do when that input is hit. Alright, so I hope this is my first time walking through code and talking, so I hope this wasn't too confusing. But if you have any questions about the Replica Island code base or programming on Android, let me know. I've made now 3 games. I'm not a total expert, but I'm pretty knowledgeable. So if you have any questions, post a comment and I'll make a quick video to try to help you with your problem. Thanks. Bye.